Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Bahashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Aknakwath out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And this one's another edition of the mini-series titled, A Lot of You Jakes Calling Yourself in the Truth Aren't Even Ready for the End. And so far we've touched on the first part, all right, still tied down to addictions, all right, smoking, drinking too much, even sex. We did the second part, all right, which was focusing too much on things that are not important, all right, vanity, materialistic tendencies, or materialism, as I wrote, and over righteousness, right? And today's topic is leaning into your own understanding, or I put leaning into your understanding. I'm going to put into own, all right? Leaning into your own understanding, all right, which is, of course, leaning into bugged out thought patterns, being too deep, all right, thinking you know best, okay? I'm going to add that, thinking you know best, right? So, leaning into your own understanding, all right? And today, all right, we got debuting a new Bible app, and it fits every single need that I've had. I put in a ChatGPT the other day trying to look for a new Bible app, and the ones that they said weren't really it, but I remembered a Bible app, a paid Bible app called the eSword. Now, I've used the version, I believe, on the PC. They have a version on the PC. I don't think the one on the PC you have to pay for, or I used some type of sword type Bible on the PC that was free, and I've liked what they've had. You know, it was a couple bucks, all right, and I bought it, and it does the need for me. I'm not gonna say go and buy it, but you know, if you brothers are looking for one, I mean, it's pretty much the best one I found. Simply because it used to be Logos, but I deleted I just deleted Logos Bible today and replaced it with this because they enshittified, all right, the Logos Bible, they enshittified it, all right. And what I mean by that is they started adding AI features, and they locked it behind a paywall, and the regular Bible search turned into bullshit, right? You couldn't even find anything. The interface was slower. I don't know, man. So ever since that happened, I you know, you've heard me, those brothers and sisters that are around the channel, I was pretty heated on that, all right, because I used to love on the go using Logos Bible because it had everything, all right. And the Logos Bible back in the day was still better than this one, but this is just the best one I've managed to find so far, because you can like download Bibles. Some of them you gotta pay for, and I was like, am I about to pay for this? But I was like, you pay for a Bible anyway when you gotta go buy it. So the app was $5, which I think it should technically be free, and then certain translations you have to pay for. These are the free ones, but if you want the NLT, you gotta pay like $20. I don't know, I may or may not do it. I don't know, we'll see how much I ended up, you know, liking this app. But like I said, so I like all the features. It sounds like I'm sponsoring. I'm not sponsoring shit, all right, but I just like it, and I'm just shouting it out because, you know, you brothers that are looking for one, this is pretty much the best one I found. I've only had it for the day, because I just bit the bullet. I was like, man, I'm just gonna fucking pay for it, begrudgingly, right? Begrudgingly. But it reminds me a lot of how the Logos Bible used to be. So I got my lessons, you know, and the bookmarks. You can bookmark things like this. I got them loaded up because I'm just going to use the bookmark. I'm not going to actually bookmark things because you can highlight. And this is my favorite part. Where's it at? Highlight labels. You can actually, like, write different labels. So I thought that was cool because I got my labels here, like Israel's identity, prophecy, commandments of the law. You can do all that stuff. So, you know, if you brothers are looking for something, this is the best one I could find, like I said. So, again, not sponsored. Not that I would ever be sponsored, Lord willing. All right? Because, you know, that's not something we do. We don't take no bags. We give you our honest words, our honest opinion. If you don't like it, then you go fuck off. All right? With that, showing you what I'm using today. I like it. So, hopefully, it goes well through it. All right? And if so, you can make more lessons using it. So, and it's got the Apocrypha. That's the most important thing of all. It's got the Apocrypha. And it has Strongs. It has a bunch of cool stuff. But, so yeah, today, dealing with leaning into your own understanding. And that's a problem that we see a lot with people. All right, and really leaning into your own understanding can make you go wrong in a lot of ways, right? And really, it's a root cause of a lot of issues. All right, for example, panic. We just talked about the other day, not dealing with this, but panicking. All right, panicking comes from leaning into your understanding. All right, doubt, that comes from leaning into your understanding. Not having faith, that comes from leaning into your understanding, because you say, well, if it was going to happen, it would this or it would that, I would see this or that. Look, we don't go by sight, all right, as it says. Let's go and get that. Not by sight. Right here. 2 Corinthians 5 and 7, it says, for 2 Corinthians 5 and 7, it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Okay? So, if we were walking by sight, though, because, I need to see it to believe it, what is that? That goes back into leaning into your own understanding. There we go. So that goes back into leaning into your own understanding. That's another feature I like. It has this little Bible history thing. You can go and see what scriptures you grab in case you forgot one. I'm dumb as hell. I be forgetting, so. With that, is this the, honor the Lord with all thy substance? 1 minute. This is where I wanted to be. Slack it. So with that goes back into leaning into your own understanding. And like I mentioned, leaning into your own understanding is really a poison, all right, that can make a lot of the roots sick, all right. Again, leaning on understanding, that's going to damage your faith. It's going to make you overthink. It's going to make you anxious. It's going to make you think you know better. All right. It's also, and that goes into stumbling blocks. It's like one of those. It's like dominoes, man. And a lot of the sins are like that. All right. Once you do one and you start letting that tumble, well, all the blocks after that are going to start falling down. Right? Because first you start leaning into your understanding. So, well, I don't know about this. And you say, well, since I don't know about this, maybe this is wrong. And they look at that. Aha. See, I'm glad I looked into that because this is wrong. And then this is why. And then congratulations. Now you're bugging all the way out. All right. And that's not something you want to do. Right here, Proverbs 3 and 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. It doesn't say trust in you, trust in yourself. It says trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. It says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Look, you don't have to choose at the end of the day. Do I go, left, or do I go right? The Lord's going to put you on whichever path you need to be on. Okay, and not the left or the right path, because we use that for like the good and the bad. But the Lord's going to have you be on, say, do I want to go down this green street, or do I want to go down this blue street? Well, let me think about no, man. Look, pray to the Lord, all right, and just move. He's gonna put it in your mind on whichever one that you need to go to. I'm using that as a pathway because it says he shall direct thy paths. The way of your walk. The Lord's going to direct you on that. All right, whether it be good or for bad. All right, if you're not meant to be in this thing, he's going to put you on a path that's going to lead you the Al-Azhar way. Right? So, and look what happened to that guy. He's a fake internet thug now. He's always had a little bit of that in him. But he ever since, everybody found out about him, like his booty hole turned inside out. All right. He had to put on an extra thuggish presentation. Right? It's completely ridiculous. So, continuing on, it says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Okay? And at the end of the day, men's with I'm all hyped up on Mountain Dew. I'm all hyped up on caffeine, so I'm jittery as hell. But it says, be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord, and depart from evil. So it doesn't say, use your own wisdom. And men's wisdom is significantly lacking in quality to the Lord's wisdom. Okay? Wisdom of men is it can be informational at times, but it's not going to be on the same level as the Lord's wisdom, for lack of a better word, right? There are certain things that men can warn you about, say, hey, watch out for that puddle, or you're going to step in that puddle and it's going to get your leg wet, all right? But it's not as important as the Lord saying, hey, don't go down that path, because if you do, you're going to die. All right? I'd rather have my leg wet than die. I don't know about you. So the Lord's wisdom is more substantial. It's more, you must go by it. All right? You have to. You can't lean into your own understanding. I mean, essentially what Eve did was leading into her own understanding, and by help from the serpent. The serpent said, you're not gonna die. He'd be saying some things. You're not gonna die. Go ahead. Go ahead. And she leaned into her own understanding, said, yeah, that did probably seem a little weird to me. You know how women are. All right, and look what happened when she leaned into her own understanding. All right, and it was really her own understanding that was inspired, all right, by the serpent, all right, by the devil. And that's what can happen in this society. You can be inspired by the world and start leaning your understanding. If people did say that, they did say that, so maybe, and then again, once you allow that poison, all right, again, it's like I say, once you put a little poison in a cup, the whole cup's got it. You can't drink the rest of the water. I'm gonna pour a little bit of the water. No, it's all poison, man. You got to get rid of it. You can't just sip on a little bit. There's still going to be poison in there, right? So once you do that, man, you're already on a really bad path. In verse 8, it says, "It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones." And the opposite effect of that, if you lean into your own understanding, it's not going to be health to your navel, and it's not going to be marrow to your bones. It's going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be death to your navel, all right? And your bones are going to be corrupted and damaged and sick, all right, and rotting and crumbling away. So that's not something that you want to do. That's not something you want to get down the path on. And trust me, once you start walking down that path of leaning into your own understanding, the demons are going to utilize that, all right? The word demon, the word I'm looking for is daemon. It goes back to knowledge, all right? It goes back to knowledge. And the demons aren't dumb. All right, the Lord doesn't would not hire a dumb intern, right? And they do work for the Lord, right? And Satan works for the Lord, okay? So, and we see that with Job, all right, in the book of Job, that Satan couldn't just do what he wanted to do. The Lord had to allow it, and the Lord did allow it, and then that's when, those afflictions came upon Job. So he's not going to hire someone dumb. These demons are going to come with, cunning. All right, they know if you're an overthinker. They know if you got a little faith. They know, this or that. They know if you have a specific fear. All right, and they play into those things, man. All right, they're going to play into those. If you have a fear of being left, or if you have a fear of death, or a fear of health, or a fear of bugging out, or a fear of not being a part of the elect, or a fear of not being an Israelite, or any of those fears, they know how to get in your mind and start playing on them. All right, and they'll plant those little wicked seeds. They'll say, hey, maybe you're not an Israelite. Well, no, I am. We'll list that and that. And they'll start, and again, that's why you can't lean under your own understanding, because they'll start putting things in your mind that you start thinking on. And really, as soon as you start those things, you just gotta rebuke those demons in the name of Yahweh Shemi Shai and move on. Because again, if you start leaning on understanding, it's like those dominoes, man. Once you start one understanding that's of your own, you're gonna have another one of your own, and another one of your own, and another one of your own, and soon you're gonna be so bugged out with all these different thinkings of your own that they're gonna start. Think about it like a basket, all right, and it's all filled up with apples, all right, and you should be collecting those apples. You were sent out there to collect those apples, but while you're out there collecting those apples, you just happen to see some oranges, but you ain't got no more space, all right. It's all filled up with apples, so you have to take an apple away to add an orange, and you take another apple away and add an orange. And take an apple away, add an orange. And after a while, this whole basket of apples, now it's a mixed batch, all right? And that goes into that mixed mind Israelites, all right? And that can happen with either leaning on your own understandings or bugged out identity ideologies, all right? For example, with bugged out false doctrines, okay? Mind you, we're here to collect the good fruit, these apples, right? I'm just using that as a parable, right? A parabolic sense. Not like Yahushai's parables, like not trying to replace those. So just putting that out there. But in a parabolic way, think about that. Here it is. You have this basket full of apples, and you were only instructed to go out and get apples. All right, green apples only. No red apples. Just get the green apples. All right, but you just happen to see the oranges. And in your own mind, well, we could use some oranges too. But the master, all right, or the person that sent you out, all right, the person of the vineyard, all right, the person you're working for, your employer said, just get the apples. Oh, maybe he wants some oranges too. And he never wanted the oranges. That was your idea. You wanted the oranges. So you started getting rid of the things that were good, the apples, and you started replacing them with oranges. And soon enough, that whole basket's just going to be fucking oranges, man. And you were never supposed to have oranges in the first place. So think about that. Every time, think about it like that. All right. You have all this good wisdom and instruction through Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but every time you lean into your own understanding, that's something of your own. You're replacing a teaching of Yahweh Shem Yahushai's with yours. All right. And that's not any way to be. Okay. That's not any way to be. Because eventually you're going to have no teachings of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you're going to be bugged out. Saying, if you go into the Book of Kemet or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you can learn a lot from that. But you got to use the Mormon Bible. All right, you got to use the Mormon Bible. Now, the regular King James Version Bible, it is a good Bible in some sense, but it was written by a white man. But what you have to do is you had to turn the Bible upside down and read it left from right, from the upside down, leftward, back, center. And you have to read every other 7th page, right? That's how you have to read it, because then you get to understand. If you look at the first word on each verse and you write those down and you get that in the gematria and you put, man, you're bugged out. And you think that's a joke? There's people like that. Not that exact way, but there's people that are that level of bugged out there, and they think that they have some type of wisdom, man. And they're just gone in the head, all right? They're having delusions, all these illusions, fucking them up in the head. Fucking Cypress Hill, right? That's what that's what they're all messed up in the mind, okay? Because why? They leaned into their own understanding constantly, over and over and over again, and they replaced all those apples with oranges. And the person of the vineyard owner, he didn't want no oranges, right? He didn't want none. He wanted apples. Here we go. Here's all the... I got oranges instead. I didn't ask you to get oranges. All right? I told you to get apples. Well, I like these better. Well, I didn't want that. All right? So you're fired. Get out of here. All right? And that's what's going to happen. All right? Because you wanted to lean into your own understanding. So... Jumping to Proverbs 28 and 26, it says, he that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. Let's go and get this in the good news. It says, it is foolish to follow your own opinions. Be safe and follow the teachings of wiser people. Who's a wiser person? Yahushai. Okay? Yahushai. The words of Yahweh and Yahushai. Okay? So, why would you think you know better? You don't know better. All right, it's foolish to follow your own opinions. Well, I think, throw it out. Well, nope. Anything that starts with I, throw it away. All right, the Lord. All right, it's if the Lord wills it be done. I want to do what the Lord wants to do. All right, if the Lord would have me do it. The Lord wants me to do this. The Lord wants me to say that. The Lord this. The Lord said this. The Lord commanded this. Not I said this. I command this. I want this. I do this. No. All right, not I, and more he. Right? And not he is a laugh, but I mean he, like as in, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So, that's it, man. It's foolish to follow your own opinions. Be safe and follow the teachings of wiser people. So, right here, if you got to go up from 25 in the good news. It says, selfishness only causes trouble. You are much better off to trust the Lord. Let's go and get that in the King James Version. So in the King James, it says, he that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat. All right, and that's another thing. If you're leaning into your own instruction, leaning into your own instruction and your own understanding, that's really a form of pride, because you're elevating yourself as if you know something. You don't know nothing. All right. If any man thinks he knows something, he knows nothing as yet as he ought to know. Roughly paraphrasing. So you don't know. All right. You have no idea. Look, without the scriptures of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and without the Holy Spirit and the guidance of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, we would be retarded. And you think, oh no, well no. Look how we were outside of this truth. All right. All of us were retarded. All right. We were all dumb as shit. All right. And I wasn't. Yes, you were. You were dumb as shit. We were all dumb as shit. All right, because we had no wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, all right, and understanding, all right, roughly paraphrasing. So if you don't have that, and back in the day, we didn't fear the Lord, all right, some of us might have feared Jesus Christ, all right, but that's not Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all right, and so that means what? We didn't have the wisdom. We didn't have understanding. We didn't know what the hell was going on. We were dumb. We were retarded, okay? And we were doing retarded shit. If you're a person that willingly puts poison into your body, if somebody sat cyanide down, I'm not gonna have enough to kill me, just a little taste every now and then. You're dumb, okay? And that's what we were doing out in the world, okay? We were behaving in poisonous lifestyle choices, all right, and walks of life, okay? That's a dumb thing to do. That's a dumb thing to do. So yes, we were retarded, and we had no instruction as yet. We should have through Yahweh Shem Shai. So we were dumb. We didn't have no wisdom. We didn't have no knowledge. We didn't have any understanding. We might have had a little bit of street smarts, all right? But even in this truth, those things increase through Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, this truth builds you up in all ways. All right, in this truth, it will build you up in a spiritual sense, but in a practical world. I don't want to say worldly, but in a practical sense for the world as well. All right, and it goes back to spiritually, all right? Because you might think, oh, well, having street smarts. Well, street smarts, all they really go back to is circumspection in a lot of way. All right, what to say, what to do, how to not, I don't want to say get one over on people, but, yikwab them, all right, in a sense, get one over on some people, to get yourself out of a bad situation, which isn't a lie like a normal lie. You're not, I have a Bentley, I have this. You're not lying, but there's going to be some times where we're going to have to, use guile or bend the truth just a bit. And I'm not talking about the truth as in the words of Yahweh Shem Shai, but if someone says, "What? Hey man, do you hate white people or something? You think they're the devil?" In certain situations, you're gonna have to say no. All right, and we don't hate white people, but we do think that the so-called white man, the Edomites, are the devil. So there's gonna be something you're like, no. For example, one time when I was at work, a guy asked me, I've talked about it before, he said, hey, are you homophobic? Are you homophobic? And I laughed and I said, man, I ain't afraid of gay people. And he laughed about it because, homophobia is afraid. And he's like, really though? I said, no. Now should I say, yeah, man, I hate those batty faggot, sissy boy, bitch. No, man. All right, because at the time, everybody that worked there, well, not everybody, but 90% of the crew was homosexuals. I would have lost my job. All right, so no, I couldn't go out and say that. Is it technically to a world point lying? Yes, but there's some times where you have to do that. All right, there's some times where you have to do that, and it's not, wicked in a way like regular lying is, like deception is. All right, trying to force someone to believe something for some wicked sentiment of gain. All right, it's not like that. It's for example, like when Esau showed up later in Jacob's life, and, they hugged it out, and Esau cried. He had to do that because Jacob had to, yikwab him and, as they would say in the world, fib a little bit, or white lie, as they say, a little bit, or else Esau and his feelings would have slaughtered Jacob, all right, and all the people there. So he couldn't have that, so he had to yikwab him, okay? So, and that goes back into, you'll learn things like that even through the truth, when to do certain things. And it doesn't mean, so you're saying that you can just lie. It's not lying as a sense as how the Bible talks about not lying, okay? It's more about, being subtle, all right, and using subtlety and, being smart, all right, being smart. So, but anyway, little mini side thing that we went into. But yeah, so you can't trust in yourself, all right? You have to trust in Yahweh Shem Shai in all ways. It says, he that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered, right? So that's what we have to do, man. And we are looking to be delivered, all right? We're not looking to be put to death, all right? So here in Ecclesiastes 7:16, it says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldst thou destroy thyself? Now, if we go back to yesterday's lesson, we already really talked about over righteousness, so we're not going to deep dive into it too much, but this goes into that as well, not being over righteous, right? And being over righteous is thinking like we talked about yesterday, I'm going to keep all 613 of law, or I'm going to keep 610 of them. I can't keep the other 3, but I can at least keep the other. No, you can't, man. That's why we have the mercy of Yahweh Shem Shai, because we're not perfect, okay? We're not perfect. And we need the mercy of Yahweh Shem Shai, because if not, and really, like it says, why should thou destroy thyself? And that, again, because that goes back to pride. Just like we were talking about leaning on your own understanding goes into pride because you think you know better. It's the same thing. Over righteousness goes back to pride. Like I said, there's a lot of these gateway sins. All right, how they say, marijuana is a gateway drug. Well, there's a lot of gateway sins. All right, one that leads to another. And pride leads to a lot. All right, covetousness, Covetousness leads to a lot. All right. And you don't, and again, like I said, once you let those roots take place, all right, once you got one, I mentioned the other day, I can't remember what it was, but once you got one blueberry, I say this because I had a pack of blueberries that, went rotten. I just, there's a couple, the others look fine, but I just threw them away because, or I mentioned bread, because once you have bread, one piece that's moldy, the mold has already infected all those other pieces, regardless of if you have seen it yet, right? Regardless if you have seen it yet, that mold has infected all those things. So you got to throw it away. So you don't want to let that mold take place, because once it takes place, it spreads rapidly, man. All right, it spreads rapidly, and that's how sin works. You start going off on one thing, then you're gonna go off another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and next thing you know, you're Alazar crying on a video. Man, we gotta get have a group fast and a prayer. No, man. The Lord, look, He completely, man. You went south, man. You went off, right? Completely off, and. Think you're internet gangster and shit. It's insane, man. It really is. It is quite substantial in the amount of bugged out that Alazar became. All right, formerly of the Sakari. And all those guys now are we're way more bugged out before. All right? And Heckle and Jekyll, they ain't even using Yahushai's name. All right? The Lord took his name away from them. All right? Or Yahweh. They're calling, I believe they're Jesus Christ people now, or Christ people. All right? So, yeah, man, it's just... You don't want to go down that route, man. All right, like it says, why shouldst thou destroy thyself? So, and all those guys, they are righteous over much. They think they knew better. All right, they think that they knew better, and it is their pride. They think that they knew better than the apostles and elders of GMS that came before them, and that have been teaching and preaching in sincerity for years, man. Upwards of 30-plus years, man. And they think, young bloods, they think that they knew better. All right, you should know you don't know better. I know I don't know no better than the apostles. Hell no, I don't. Right? How am I in this truth for, 6-ish years going to know better than the apostles that have been in 30-plus years? That's like me saying, I know you've been a mechanic for the last, 35 years, but I just started, right? And I know better than you. No, you don't. All right? You don't. So, where we want to get in here? Let's get Proverbs 12 and 15. It says, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. So, it's pretty plain there, all right? The way of a fool is right in his own eyes. I know what I'm doing. I know best. No, you don't. You don't know best. All right, check this out. Proverbs 12 and 15 in the easy-to-read version. It says, fools always think their own way is the best, but wise people listen to what others tell them. All right, in this case, the counsel of, the apostles through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You don't know what's best. You really don't. All right, but a fool is going to think that he knows best because he's foolish and he knows nothing. Okay, he's foolish and knows. There's a scripture, something like that. First Timothy 6 and 4 is good for what we're talking about, really. It says, 1 Timothy 6 and 4, he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, whereof cometh envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth. That's what happens to a lot of people, destitute of the truth. Supposing that gain is godliness, from such withdraw thyself. So you're not supposed to be around those type of people. Okay? And again, Proverbs 12 and 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. So, that's just how it goes, man. That's just how it goes. And Slakia, the spirit isn't, I don't feel like the spirit's as hot on me as it sometimes is. Lord willing, there's still edification coming from it. Got to make the lesson regardless, but, Lord willing, it's edifying. I could just be, I could just be leaning to my own understanding with that, perhaps, maybe. Maybe it is edifying. I don't know. Lord willing, it is. But I don't know. I feel some of my lessons are more edifying. So, Slakia. But, so yeah, let's go and jump to, what else do we got here on bookmarks? We got, let's see. Right here, yeah. So Romans 12:16 says, be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. All right, let's go and get that in the easier read version. All right, look at this. It says, live together in peace with each other. Don't be proud, but be willing to be friends with people who are not important to others. Okay? It says, don't think of yourself as smarter than everyone else. Okay? There you go. Don't think of yourself as smarter than everyone else. A little bonus in 17, it says, if someone does you wrong, don't try to pay them back by hurting them. Try to do what's right. Try to do what everyone thinks is right. And really, 3 Halbah Shemel Shai. All right, and the KJV would be, recompense to no man evil for evil, provide things honest in the sight of all men. So, and then 18 is great too. It says, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peacefully with all men. Yes, even the heathens. All right, try to be as peaceful as you can. All right, wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Okay, and again, don't be wise in your own eyes, because again, you're not. That goes back to pride. You're not as smart as you think you were. Right. All right, you're not as smart as you think you are. So, and then finally, Isaiah 5:21, it says, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Okay, and woe is miseries and torment and death, right? That's not something you want. You don't want woe. Good News Bible says you are doomed. You think you are wise, so very clever. The easy to read, they think they are so smart. They think they are very intelligent, right? And then the basic English, cursed are those who seem wise to themselves and who take pride in their knowledge. I'm so smart. I am so smart. Look at me. I am so smart. You ain't smart. You ain't smart. All right? So that, and it goes with everything. Bugged out, like leaning into bugged out thought patterns, being too deep, thinking you know best. All right, and bugged out thought patterns, what does that mean? I can't really even explain it. It's leaning into bugged out, thought patterns, like, oh, well, maybe, this other book, has some information. Just doing bugged out shit. Bugged out is not according to Halbah Shemel Shai. Bugged out is really, when you're bugged out, you're leaning on understanding, you're mixing up truth with falsities, all right? You're reading pseudepigraphas and mixing fucking the wine up, right? Here it is, you have this good truth, which is the wine, and you're over here pouring water into it. All right, see? You're putting oranges in the basket of apples. All right, now you're bugged out because now you were only supposed to have apples. Now you got oranges and apples. All right, you weren't supposed to have that. It was supposed to just be apples. Now you got oranges within your mind, and you can't have that. All right, if you can understand it, Lord willing, you can understand it. Like I said, I don't think the fire's on me as hot as it usually is, but Lord willing, there's a little bit of a flame going, right? So it might not be a bonfire, but hopefully there's just a little bit of flame, and there's still some edification to be had from it. But yeah, man, so you don't want your mind to be all fucked up and mixed up and meddled up. And really, if that happens, that's 3 Halbah Shemel Shai anyway. You've been rejected. But you shouldn't be leaning in understanding, because it's gonna, again, anxiety comes from that what if, and then the demons get on you, and then they start having you think other things, and that's going into your own understanding. Okay, don't do it. You've been warned. All right, 3 Halbah Shemel Shai. It says it all throughout the scriptures not to do it. All right, and if you do it, then hey, and if something, you end up, destroying yourself, through your Halbah Shemel Shai, then hey, I mean, don't say you weren't warned. All right. So that's the lesson, part 3 of a lot of you Jakes calling yourself in the truth aren't even ready for the end. And again, you can't be in the end leaning into your own understanding. Okay, you can't do that. Now, the brother said I should go over here, but I'm gonna go over here because I think where they're going is gonna be bad, and then you're gonna fucking getting burned up, right? You're gonna end up getting burned up. So don't do it. You've been warned. A lot of you Jakes calling yourself in the truth aren't even ready for the end, and that's another error that are in many Jakes. All right, constant leaning into your own understanding. Again, we can't say we don't do it from time to time. There are sometimes the demons get on us, and we lean into our own understanding for a split second with the anxiety or the fear. All right, when the fear gets on you, that's why you got to pray that the Most High removes that fear from you. Okay, you have that. Oh my God, what if? All right, a what if is leaning on understanding. All right, what if this happens and this? Hey, stop it. All right, Lord willing, if if the Lord's will is that's going to happen, it's going to happen regardless. All right, and if it's not, it's not. So just pray to the Lord, say, hey Lord, please don't let anything bad come of this. Babu Kashah, Babu Kashah, Babu Kashah. All right, and send it up and forget it. All right, cast your burdens upon the Lord, as it says. All right, and then don't stop worrying about it. All right, the Lord's going to get you right. All right, that's another lesson that I have on the heating up on the back burner. Is, you know, the Lord will get you right. Did I ever do that one? Did I ever finish that? No, I still have it. The Lord will get you right. But yeah, man, the Lord will get you right. You just have to, or maybe I did do it and I just didn't unsave it. I can't remember. I feel like I did do it, or something adjacent to it. But yeah, Lord willing, it's edifying. All right, Salakia, that if it wasn't as edifying as my other content, you know, forgive me, Babu Shah. Lord willing, there was still some edification to be had from it. If you're edified, you know, as the Apostle Gabar says, you can put it down below. Not putting myself on the same level as that brother, but you know, it's a good thing to do. If you were edified, it's good to know that you were edified or not, because it lets me know that I'm doing what's right in Yahweh Shema Shai's eyes. So we're gonna close out there. All right, Lord, what was edifying? Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.